Hello everyone, I'm Heather and welcome to Yoga for Runners. This is about a 45-minute practice and we take a really simple approach to our yoga poses today to help you relieve some tight areas, some soreness, help you develop a little more strength in some weak areas, and really set you up to prevent injury. For today's practice, you need 2 yoga blocks, your mat, maybe a blanket to pad your knees. If you don't have blocks, no worries. You can just grab a couple pillows off your couch or a couple blankets that you could fold up for supports. And yoga really is the perfect recovery for athletes. So whether you're a runner or a cycler, an avid walker, this practice can be extremely beneficial for you. So go ahead and grab those items and meet me back here on the mat. Welcome back everybody. We're going to begin facing the long side of your yoga mat and you're going to take your feet pretty wide, right? And so they're about 1 leg's distance apart. And how you can determine that is if you stand with your feet wide and you open your arms out, your wrists and your ankles should be about in line. And then from there, turn your toes slightly out. So you can really feel weight come into your heels. And then bringing your hands to your thighs, you're just gonna start to bend your knees. And so as you bend your knees and rest your hands on your thighs, make sure you're not just collapsing, right? But really start to lengthen through the torso, from the tail up through the top of your head. And then simply just drop that right shoulder down. And this should feel pretty good if you just finished a run. And just bringing the front of that right shoulder a little closer to the mat. And then lifting up and dropping that left shoulder down. Just noticing any tightness you feel across your back. Just try to relax. And begin to lift that left shoulder up. So we're going to link that movement with breath. So in the center, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, drop that right shoulder down. Inhale, lifting that right shoulder. And exhale, drop your left. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, dropping the right shoulder. And just keep going with your own breath. You may be a little faster or a little slower than me, and that's okay. But just start to invite a sense of patience and calm into your body and into your mind. And then lifting up through center, go ahead, straighten those legs and turning your toes to face the side of your mat. What you really want to look at is the outer edges of your feet. So make them parallel to the top and bottom of your mat. And for some of you, that might look a little pigeon-toed. Others of you are going to look straight on. We're all put together a little bit differently, and that's okay. Bend your knees and bring your hands to your hip creases. Lengthen through your torso and just start to fold, hinge from those hips. And come all the way down. You can release your hands to the mat. If they don't touch the mat, put some blocks under them, maybe a blanket. And relax the head. Your knees can be really soft here, especially if you're feeling a lot of tightness through the backs of your legs. Start to think of your tailbone lifting up to the sky. And you can walk your hands back in line with your feet. Allow your hands to be under your shoulders. And relax your head down. And take a nice smooth breath in and out. As you inhale, begin to lift up halfway. And exhale, walk your hands towards your left foot and turn your left toes forward. And pick up your right foot and step it a little over to the right. So your feet come onto railroad tracks. And this is a nice place for blocks to come under your hands to support this pose. Go ahead and rise up just so you can pay a little more attention to the alignment. And this is Parsvottanasana, and Parsvo means to stretch the sides of your body. So left foot is facing 12 o'clock, right foot is about 1 o'clock, maybe 7 after, right? So feeling grounded through those feet. Again, hands to hip creases just start to hinge from those hips. Reach your belly, your chest forward. You can bring your hands to blocks. They can be on any height that makes sense for you. Maybe you're more flexible and your hands can come flat to the mat. But find a place where you feel the stretch, but you're not fighting to stay there. Feeling really grounded through your feet. Take your left thumb into your left hip crease and just pull that left hip back ever so slightly. Inhale. As you exhale, release that left hand down. Fold straight down the center line of your mat. And another smooth breath in and out. As you inhale, begin to lift up through the head. If you use blocks on this side, take them with you as you turn to face that original side of your mat. And you're gonna walk over to the opposite side. So turning your right toes, move your right toes over to the right. You can step your left foot a little over to the left. And then grounding through your feet, rise up. And just to check the alignments. Hips are relatively forward. Those left toes are facing about 11 o'clock. Right toes are at 12. But you feel really grounded. Inhale. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold. That right knee can bend as needed. Maybe use some blocks. Reach your heart forward and fold straight down the center line of your mat. Just take your time. This stretch is a runner's friend, right? You get length to build through the backs of both legs, and you're creating a compression at your right hip so that you can help increase flexibility there. And begin to allow your breath to just bring you some ease in these poses. Really relax on your exhale. On your next inhale, lifting up halfway. And exhale, go ahead, pick up those blocks. If you're using them, walk them back to the side of your mat, turning your toes to face the side of the mat. Those blocks can scoot up to the original front and rise up. Bring your feet closer together. Do a little dance, right? Pick up your right foot and cross it to the outside of that left foot. So you want to feel grounded here, a little bent in the knees is okay. Hinge from your hips and fold. And if your fingertips don't touch the ground, add some blocks. Great stretch for the hamstrings, the calves, the IT band that runs down the outer thigh. And if it's really intense, bend your knees a little more. Two more breaths. And slowly begin to bend your knees, rise up, take your time. Release that right foot, and we'll go the other way. So left foot lifts, crosses over that right and to the outside. Inhale, exhale, bending from your hips, fold. Maybe blocks help. And one side can be really different. Start to notice in your body where you feel resistance and tightness. And as you exhale, imagine that tightness fading away. Inhale, begin to lift up. Take your time coming up and uncross your feet. Grab those blocks if you were using them and bring them back to the front of your mat. Turn and face the top of your mat. And you're going to separate your feet about a mat's distance apart, maybe a little wider, toes turn out. Anchoring through your heels, we're coming into a squat, a yogi squat, malasana. So just bending those knees and dropping the tail down. And you can feel free to rock a little here, side to side. This can be a really challenging pose for those runners, right? Because we tend to have tight hip flexors, and it's not always the best feeling pose to come into, so just find a little free movement. And then anchoring through those heels, really drop your weight into your heels. Your elbows can come to your inner thighs, palms together. If this is really tight, you have a couple options. You can take blocks and stack them, and move them a little behind your heels, and just have a seat, right? You're not as deep in the squat, but it's really okay. You're achieving the same action. If you just need a little bit of help, a blanket under the heels can provide you just a little bit of lift, right? So that it becomes a little easier. And that's okay. So choosing what works for you. I'm gonna stay here for 5 breaths. Try to relax that tight sensation you may feel through the tops of your thighs, leading into your hips. Exhale, release your hands down, slowly lift those hips up, turn your toes forward, walk them in a little closer. So really still into those hip creases, a deep compression. Just find an easy fold. Knees can bend here, you can sway a little side to side, maybe grab opposite elbows. If you're really tight in this Forward fold, elbows can come up on your thighs. Releasing your hands down, bend your knees and push the mat away. Rise up, go slow, right? Because those hip flexors are starting to lengthen. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. And exhale, bend your knees, fold in half. Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up to a halfway point. Head and tail rise. Exhale, fold. Release the hands down, and you're gonna step that left foot way, way back there. So you're building a runner's lunge. I need to maneuver on my mat a little bit. So you think about your right knee stacked on top of your right heel. You can add blocks under your hands here to give you a little more height. Really walk that left foot back as far as you can as you reach that heart forward. Now bring both hands, with or without blocks, to the inside of your right foot and move your right foot over to the right so that your hands can still be shoulder width distance apart. This is lizard. It's a very active pose, but we want to take it to dragon, right? We want to be in the yin world. So go ahead and drop your left knee down. It can come to a blanket if you're sensitive in your knees. And just relax that left leg. Squeeze your right thigh inward towards your right arm or the right side of your waist. Take a breath here. Maybe a big exhale out. And then see if you can lower onto your forearms. So maybe that means you stack your blocks. Maybe you have a bolster that you use or some pillows. But the goal here is to approach dragon with ease, right? It's not an easy pose for 99% of us. We feel a lot of sensation in this pose. So do what you need to do to support yourself. Think of your pelvis growing heavier and sinking down. And just focus on your breath and relaxing where you feel tight. You're doing great. Take one more breath. Begin to rise back up onto your hands if you drop down. Turn your right toes slightly out to the right and rock to the outer edge of your right foot. That's a winged dragon. Your right leg is your wing, right? And this can be intense or maybe it feels a little easier. Either is okay. And you can once again drop down to your forearms. But really allow that right knee to just fall out to the right. So you get a little hip opening action, a little external rotation of your thigh bone at your hip. Feeling that pelvis relax, heavy. Nice big breath in through your nose. A big exhale out your mouth. Sole of your right foot comes down. Go ahead, lift yourself up. Curl the back toes under and lift that left knee. So all of a sudden we're coming back into that active place, right? The lizard. You can move your right foot a little more to center. And I'm gonna advise you to lift up a little higher. If you've got blocks, take them up higher. Because coming out of those longer holds can be intense. You're just gonna softly hop your left foot up. We made it. Bend your knees and rise to standing. Take your time. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, maybe a little back bend. And exhale, bend your knees, fold it down. Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Now step your right leg back, finding that long runner's lunge. Left knee stacks on top of your left heel. Reach those right toes, that right heel way, way back there. Heart reaches forward. And then moving that left foot a little to the left, so both hands can come to the inside of your left foot. Hands are under the shoulders. Drop your right knee down. That's better, right? And start to really squeeze that left thigh inward. Sole of your left foot rests on the mat. Once you can find a little ease to come down onto your forearms, go there. If you're really tight, you can stack your blocks, a low and a medium. Gives you a nice high perch. And then throughout the hold, if your body eases up, and you become a little more comfortable, you can always lower the blocks down. And as I mentioned, I call this a yin yoga pose. Yin yoga is a passive form of yoga that really emphasizes connective tissue. It's not a strengthening yoga, right? You've already done that. Right? You went running, you're strengthening your body, your heart. This is very passive, but the effects can be profound, right? You'll move around with more ease. It gives you time to just connect with your body and your breath, to pay attention to where in your body do you tighten and tense and hold on. And also teaches you how to sit with a little discomfort. Right? These poses can be a little uncomfortable. And use your skills, your breath, your mind to persevere. Go ahead, lift back up onto your hands. And you're going to turn your left toes slightly out to the left. Time to wing that dragon, so rock to the outer edge of your left foot. And feel the weight of your pelvis drop down. So if it's tighter, maybe you stay up on your hands. Once you're able to come down the forearms again, go there. And you can rock a little, right? You don't have to be completely still. You're just trying to find that calm energy. Place where you can be patient, not in a hurry. Another big breath. And start to bring the sole of your left foot down to the mat, lift yourself up. Move that left foot more to center and curl the back toes under. Activate the leg, that back leg, and hop, hop, hop your right foot forward. Whew, right? Inhale, slowly rise up. Just take your time. I promise you won't break. Another inhale, reach up, maybe a little back bend. And exhale, bend your knees, fold in half. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. And you can set those blocks out to the sides. Come down onto your hands and knees and table. If your knees are sensitive here, just put your blanket under your knees. Now you take a little bit of cat and cow. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your tail. As you exhale, round through the upper back. Tuck the tail. Inhale, heart reaches forward, gaze forward. Exhale, rounding. Take 3 more rounds, and this should feel pretty good. It's a very basic movement through extension and flexion of your spine. And cat and cow feels good in the morning, feels good in the afternoon, it feels good at night. And it's a rather simple vinyasa, right? You're moving your body in a particular direction. And then come to a neutral spine. Widen your hands, so they're a little wider than your shoulders. You're gonna keep your hips right on top of your knees, but start to walk your hands forward. And as you walk your hands forward, you're gonna feel your hips wanna come with you. Don't allow them to. Push them back. You can drop your forehead down and see if you can relax your elbows down. Maybe your chest can come down and you can turn your head to one side. This is Anahatasana, melting heart. So think about your heart center just dropping closer to the mat. And it's a really nice pose for your shoulders. If it's really tight through the tops of your shoulders, widen your hands. You can turn the head the opposite way. And then begin to lift up. Just take your time. Lower your right forearm, lower your left forearm. Walk your feet back. You're in a forearm plank. Just so you can find the position to drop your hips, untuck your toes. You're in Sphinx pose, elbows under shoulders. Relax your glutes, relax your thighs. Maybe wag your tail a little. And this should feel really good, right? Because we just did a lot of hip opening poses focusing on the pelvis, and now the hips can relax. If you're feeling really comfortable here, turn those fingertips slightly out, right and left, and lift your elbows into seal pose. Try to relax again through your glutes. And this is really nice because you're actually pushing the front of your hips into your mat. It's creating compression in your low back, which helps your low back grow stronger, more flexible. Releasing the elbows down. Walk your left elbow more to the center line of your mat and just lift that right foot off the ground. So this can be enough of a stretch through your right quadricep, the front of your right thigh, or you can reach that right hand around. You can grab the right foot. If you can't get the foot, you can always grab your pants or you can use a strap. But think about just pulling that right heel in closer to the right glute cheek, and keep your right knee down, right? Don't allow it to lift. If it lifts, just back off a little bit. Release that right foot down. And move your right forearm, your right elbow more to the center line of your mat. Bend that left knee. You can stay right here or reach that left hand around. Grab the foot. Don't struggle to get it too much. And as you pull that left heel in, if you have the foot, really allow the quadricep, that left thigh, to push into your mat, nice and heavy. Releasing that left foot down. Start to drop your forehead to the mat. Walk your hands back in line with your chest. Pull your low belly in and up. Push through your hands and your knees. Lift to that table. You can bring your knees forward. Big toes touch. Slowly sit the hips back. So you're coming into a high child's pose. And you can move a little left and right. Maybe drop to your forearms. Maybe reach the hands forward and bow the head down to the mat. As you inhale, lift the head, walk the hands back through center. So we're going to take a stretch for our feet here. So common thing with avid runners and walkers is plantar fasciitis, right? The plantar fascia gets inflamed and you get really intense pain through the arches of your feet. So these two poses can help you with that. If you have a blanket, it's nice to have nearby. You're gonna curl your toes under and be on the balls of your feet. A lot of times you have to help that little pinky toe come under. So if this is intense already, you can just bring your knees up onto a blanket. And you wanna sit your hips back to your heels, right? So you have a nice stack of your head, your shoulders, and your hips in line, right? Again, another modification if it's intense is you can lean forward. You can even put blocks under your hands here. But if it's just uncomfortable, not painful, see if you can stay with it, right? You're not here too long. You get a gorgeous stretch through the arches of your feet. And just breathe, relax. Relax your jaw, your face. Your shoulders. And then coming forward onto your hands, you're gonna untuck your toes. Great job. So if you use a blanket for the first one, you can keep it there. You're gonna sit your hips back to your heels. If this is really intense already, take a block and put it under your bum between your ankles. If you feel okay, walk your hands back and start to lift those knees. And you can start to relax your head back as well. So now stretching through the tops of your feet. And begin to lift up, take your time. Great job. We're gonna come into a downward facing dog, just to pedal our feet out. Hands come shoulder width distance apart, hips lift. Bend the knees one at a time. Sink those heels down. Think of your tailbone rooting down as you push through those hands and lengthen the sides of your waist, lengthen your arms. Dropping your knees to the mat. Sit your hips back to your heels and allow your legs to come out in front. So we're moving down. Come onto your back. Bend your knees and just allow your feet to be hips width distance apart. Hug that right knee in. You can interlace the fingers below your right knee. Just give that right thigh a little squeeze into the belly. And cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh, making a figure four. There's no need to push yourself into this pose. Right? Just allow your right hip to relax. And then start to lift your left foot off the ground. And maybe you just kind of hang out there. If you can, reach your right hand between the legs and take an easy grip around the back of your left thigh. This is going to intensify it, right? And the more you pull that left thigh in and use your right elbow to open that right knee out, the more intensity the pose is going to have. From here, go ahead, release that grip around your left thigh and drop both legs to the left. Reach your right arm out to the right. And we're coming into a yummy, yummy spinal twist. And just do your best to relax your legs. Turn your right palm up to the sky. That way that right shoulder can really relax. Lifting and legs back through center, left foot comes down, right knee hugs in, and drop your right foot down. Hug your left knee in, grip below that left knee, pull that left thigh in towards the belly. Cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh, making that figure four shape. Figure four is great to open the hips. It creates a stretch through the IT band, through your glutes. Go ahead, lift your right foot off the ground. So maybe you just went up a little bit and you hang there. To go deeper, left hand between the legs, grip around the back of your right thigh. And then you can pull that right thigh in a little closer to your belly. And use that left elbow to open that left knee outward. Inhaling and exhaling. Release your grip and drop both legs over to the right, reaching that left arm out to the left in your twist. And relax your legs. back through center. Exhale, drop that right foot down. Inhale, hug that left knee back in. Exhale, give it a squeeze. And then dropping your left foot down, just start to straighten the legs. And you've arrived in Shavasana. So your final pose, a pose to just let go of any effort in your body, any effort around your breath. Allow the body and the mind to find a little rest. If your low back bothers you in this position, just bend your knees and have the feet flat to the ground. You can even knock your knees together. Or you can roll up a blanket and place it under your knees. That can be nice. And allowing your body just to sink down into your mat. Begin to just notice the natural rhythm of your breath. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you like. Giving your body time to rest and recover. If you're ready to move, just start to pull the toes back towards your shins, flexing your feet, and then point the toes away from you. You can do that a few times. Wiggle your fingers, bend your knees, hug those knees into your belly. And you can rock to one side and lift yourself up with your hands or just roll on up. And have a seat, cross-legged, Sukhasana, crossing at the shins, flex your feet, join your palms together at your heart. Thank yourself for coming to your mat. And I thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.